I know there are some people out there that want to see Jalen Milroe, and I like what Milroe's done, but he still has a ways to go before we're talking about him potentially being a starting quarterback in this league. Sam Darnold will lead the field when the Seahawks get in action week 1 against San Francisco. The starting running back, I think, is going to be Zach Charbonnet, and I have a couple of reasons why that I'll explain further here in just a moment. The fullback position, we're going to go with Robbie Oots over Brady Russell. Both guys competing for the starting fullback spot. Brady Russell has been a borderline practice squad type player, hasn't really done a whole lot. He's learning a new position. Robbie Oots, this is what he was brought in exactly to do, was to play the fullback spot. I find it unlikely that you're going to want to cut a player you drafted either. I think Oots is in the driver's seat to be that starting fullback. Now let's talk about Zach Charbonnet for a moment. Some of you right away are going to be saying, what happened to Kenneth Walker? Well, I have a couple of reasons. All right, hear me out on this before you cut my throat or something. The first reason is that if Seattle is going to move on from any running back, K9's the most likely because he only has one more year remaining on his current contract, and it seems highly unlikely that he will get a long-term deal. So just by that, if somebody's going to get moved, Charbonnet is more likely to be here. Reason number 2 of why we're going Charbonnet over Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet looked fantastic at the end of last season, and his numbers were even better towards the end of the year than what Kenneth Walker's were. And I think he can do more things than Kenneth Walker can in the offense when you talk about his pass-catching ability and all of that. And then the injuries. Kenneth Walker's banged up right now, and he's continued to have an injury problem. Who's to say he's going to get through the preseason healthy? I think Zach's the odds-on favorite, and more than likely will be your starting running back when the season begins. What do you guys think? Who should be RB1? Kenneth Walker III or Zach Charbonnet? Type K9 for Kenneth Walker III. Type ZC for Zach Charbonnet. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in and let us know what you think. Cooper Kupp will be a starting receiver. He comes over from the Los Angeles Rams. Excited to see what he potentially does. And another element I like about Cooper Kupp is his blocking ability, kind of like Hines Ward was for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many years. He'll be a huge asset. Jackson Smith-Njigba, of course, he is your, without a doubt, wide receiver 1 in this offense. Coming off a Pro Bowl campaign last year, I expect him, as he embraces that wide receiver role, that wide receiver 1 role, to see his production jump up even further. The best is still yet to come with JSN. Now at the tight end spot. This is where things get interesting. Would I like to see Elijah Arroyo here? Yeah, I would. What do I think of A.J. Barner? I think A.J. Barner is a solid number 2 tight end. I don't think he's a 1. But based on how this offseason has gone, here we are. It's July now. Seattle's had plenty of chances to say goodbye to Noah Fant, whether it be trading him or cutting him and unloading that salary. And there have been no indications that they are looking to move Noah Fant at this point. Could it still happen? It could, but there's no momentum, at least, for that direction. I think as of right now, and all of this could still change, of course, I think they're keeping Noah Fant for now, that they want to make sure that Sam Darnold has a safety blanket at that tight end spot with multiple options. We saw how well Sam Darnold played with T.J. Hockenson last year in Minnesota. I think that they, for now, let Noah Fant play this year out and then let him go next year in free agency. Let's start at the left tackle position with Charles Cross. Charles Cross, I thought, had a really good season in 2024, and now I expect him to take another step forward. He was picked top 10 for a reason, folks. I don't think there's any reason why Charles Cross cannot be a Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber left tackle in this league. They've already picked up his 5th-year option. The belief is there. Charles has made it known he wants to be here for a long time. I think that Charles Cross is going to show up and show out and have a very impressive year. He was about the only silver lining for this offensive line for the most part last season. Can't wait to see what he does in 2025. Gray Zabel will be your starting left guard. We'll talk about the right guard position in just a moment. But everything that we've heard when it comes to this offensive guard situation is that Gray is without a doubt your starting left guard. The competition is about the right guard spot. And with Gray Zabel as a rookie, there will be growing pains. It will not be perfect immediately. And he's still learning a new position. He played tackle in college. But I'm very optimistic that Gray Zabel is going to be a significant upgrade from what we've seen with Laken Tomlinson and kind of the revolving door at that position in the past. Then we go to the center position, and that's where we find Olu Olutimi entering his third season from the University of Michigan. And I know that there's been a competition in the offseason program between him and Jalen Sundle, and Jalen has gotten some first-team reps. But I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that this is even being called a competition. I get it that competition makes people better. Iron sharpens iron. But I was impressed enough with what Olu did in the second half of the season that I didn't think that he necessarily needed to be challenged. But they felt otherwise, barring something catastrophic. I think Olu's still going to be your starter there at center. The right guard position, I'll go with Anthony Bradford. He's a year older than Christian Haynes. Christian Haynes was as low as third on the depth chart, getting passed up by Satoa Lumea at one point last year, who was drafted behind him. I don't care who wins this job, to be honest. Let the best man win when it comes to the right guard spot. But Anthony Bradford looked pretty good in the offseason program. He's a little bit slimmer than he was before. He dropped some pounds. I think he'll be in good shape. And then the right tackle spot, we'll go with Abraham Lucas to hold down that. Of course, Abe, when he's healthy, he's pretty solid. The key for him is going to be just staying healthy. The right guard spot is uncertain. I think that if you're a Seattle fan, you have to be feeling a lot better about the offensive line situation entering 2025, but you won't feel completely good about it until we get an answer at the right guard spot. Until we know what we know and somebody's playing at a high level. And I'll be honest, I don't know if anyone is ever going to play at a high level this year at that right guard spot. You play your numbers. You hope one of them is going to work, but only time will tell. We'll see. Who would you like to see be Seattle's starting right guard? Anthony Bradford or Christian Haynes? Type AB for Anthony Bradford. Type CH for Christian Haynes. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know which one you would choose from. Folks, I want to make sure you're subscribed to Seattle Seahawks Today as we bring you our daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day. We also have live shows 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're doing our Madden Sims, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. The most interactive Seahawks channel on YouTube is Seattle Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free. Never miss a moment. Let's get at least 20 subs off today's video. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball now. Leonard Williams holding things down at the defensive end spot. I think he's the most underrated defensive player in football. Can't wait to see what he does. He was a terrific addition a couple of years ago at the trade deadline. Byron Murphy is back for year number 2, the former first-round pick out of Texas. And then you got Jarran Reed at the defensive tackle spot. And Jarran Reed has been a great presence for this team, not only with his production, but also as a leader within the locker room. He's been a guy that the young players have been able to turn to and been a really good sounding board. I got to tell you, watch out for Byron Murphy. I know these statistics weren't anything earth-shattering for Byron Murphy, in all honesty, last year. If you were a stats junkie and just looking at those numbers, you would say to yourself, well, Byron Murphy was just another guy. But I think what showed his value was when he was out last year and they had to turn things over to Jonathan Hankins. And there was a significant drop-off. So entering year 2, remember he had Mike McDonald on his ass all last season. Even when he arrived, Mike Mack was all over him. A year in the system, playing in the National Football League, getting into shape. That was another thing Mike Mack was on his ass about, was that he was out of shape. Just getting acclimated, I think that there's going to be a big step up for Byron Murphy. You're going to see that this year. All right, let's go to the outside linebackers now. DeMarcus Lawrence comes to town from the Dallas Cowboys. It's about health for me with DeMarcus Lawrence. If he stays healthy, he's going to be extremely productive, but that's a big if. He only played 4 games last year. Tyrese Knight at the linebacker spot. he was, if you look back at the 2024 draft, one of the best value picks of any team out there. You got to be feeling really good about yourselves that you found a starting caliber linebacker in round 4. And most people thought they reached to get Tyrese Knight when they did, and he played pretty well. Can't wait to see what he does. And then you go with Ernest Jones, who you bring back on a new contract. You traded for him at the trade deadline. He took this defense to a whole other level when he joined this roster last year. And he had that offseason knee surgery. He's been dealing with that banged-up knee the last couple of years. I think that Ernest Jones, with a fully healthy knee, we're going to see some untapped potential. And then I'm going to go with Boye Mafe as your other starting outside linebacker. And I know that some people are going to say, what about Uchenna Nwosu? Well, when we go back to projecting this starting lineup of what's likely to happen, can I trust Uchenna to be healthy week 1? No. Sorry. Boye is more likely to get the start. And I like what Boye's done over the last few years. And he's a complete pass rusher. Mike McDonald has made it known in the past he's not looking for specialists. This is somebody that can rush the passer. He can defend the run. He can drop back in coverage. Even if they're both healthy, I like Boye more than I do Uchenna Nwosu, quite frankly. I think Uchenna's fine. I'm glad he's back, and he's on a cheaper contract. But Boye, I think, is the better player, and I expect him to start week 1. Who do you expect to start week 1? Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu. Type BM for Boye Mafe. Type UN for Uchenna Nwosu. Wait in the comment section and let us know. Got a great deal for Seahawks fans as Nike T-shirts are on sale now for $15.99 while supplies last. It's getting hot outside. You need T-shirts. You're looking for Nike gear. Not very often we're talking about cheap Nike gear, folks. And you want to rep your favorite team. Well, it's all right here, folks. $15.99, all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Chatsports.com/COXT to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Chatsports.com/COXT to get yours now. Next, we find Devin Witherspoon at the corner position. He'll play the nickelback spot. I'm very high on Devin Witherspoon. I think everybody is, coming off another Pro Bowl campaign. He continues to get better and better. He's more vocal. Devin Witherspoon's going to do some special things. Rick Woolen as well at the outside corner spot. We're going to see also on the field Shaq Griffin, but we're doing this based off of a 2-corner lineup. Okay, so that's why he's not technically included, but you get the idea. Rick Woolen entering a make-or-break year for him, a contract year, trying to prove his worth, and I'm excited about Rick Woolen. A little bit nervous, too. We'll see. Kobe Bryant at the free safety spot. Kobe did a really good job when he took over for Rayshawn Jenkins in the second half of last year. Kobe, let's see him continue to build upon what he did last year. And then Julian Love. He has been the steady Eddie. He has not missed a game since he's been with the Seattle Seahawks. He's been to a Pro Bowl since he's been here. Julian Love, I think every team in the NFL could use a player like Julian Love. And don't forget about Nick Emanwari as well, who Seattle drafted in the second round out of South Carolina. Although he might technically not be a starter per se, he will get the snap count of a starter. And he'll be a rover of sorts. In college, he played safety, nickelback, outside corner, outside linebacker, inside linebacker. They're going to play him everywhere. And Mike McDonald's talked about that we're going to play him where we need him to play, that we're going to find a spot for him based on how things stack up. The special teams unit, Jason Myers at the kicker spot. Mike Dixon's got a new contract. He's the highest paid punter in football. Chris Stoll is back as your long snapper. I think, folks, there's pressure on Harbaugh, the special teams coordinator, because special teams took a significant fall off last year. And you look at the personnel, you say you got a solid.
Reportedly, the Seattle Seahawks are entering this season with a sharper sense of direction. The quarterback room has been reconstructed, and the defense is adjusting to a more controlled pressure scheme. Moreover, roster additions are being made with purpose, not volume. From trade rumors to training camp rotations, everything seems unique and strategic. To start with, Sam Darnold's role isn't up for debate. Since OTAs, his handling of the offense has looked steadier than in years past. He's quicker on reads, tighter with ball placement, and no longer second-guessing play calls. Seattle isn't asking him to win games off script. They're asking him to deliver what's there. Clint Kubiak's design is reportedly helping. The playbook favors layered progressions, condensed spacing, and route concepts that move defenders instead of just testing them. Indeed, that's a comfortable fit for a quarterback who thrives on rhythm. Drew Lock remains in the picture because coaches appreciate his experience in this system. Rookie Jalen Milroe, while athletic and promising, is clearly a project. Unless injuries or major regression occur, this is Darnold's job, with Lock standing by. Next, Kenneth Walker III is still the primary back. However, behind him, things have tightened. Zach Charbonnet has bulked up slightly and is showing more patience on zone cuts. His short yardage reps are sharper. He's clearly the change of pace back, but he's also being prepped for a larger pass blocking role. Kenny McIntosh is the one drawing attention. He's improved his burst out of the backfield and is running cleaner routes in the flat and seam. If he keeps showing progress in blitz pickup, the staff might find ways to use all three backs in active rotation. Damian Martinez is trailing for now, but his special teams work is keeping him relevant. There's no dead weight in this group. The front three are also locked. They reportedly include Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Kupp is healthy and being used more in option-heavy looks. Smith-Njigba is thriving in motion-based designs, and Valdez-Scantling continues to stretch the field even when he isn't targeted. After that, competition is open. Jake Bobo has reliable hands and timing. Ricky White III shows quickness on intermediate slants, but hasn't yet proven he can separate consistently. Steven Sims Jr. has the lead on return duties, which could keep him on the 53 if the staff wants to trim elsewhere. DeMarcus Lawrence is all in. He's taken every team rep since early July and is acting like a leader. Boye Mafe continues to progress, especially on backside pursuit. On the other hand, Uchenna Nwosu's deal restructure bought the team flexibility, but he still looks like a player with something to prove. Rotations are happening by design to achieve control edges, compress throwing lanes, and create third downs. The trade buzz hasn't translated into action yet. Reports link Seattle to a few names, including older veterans like Von Miller, but nothing has advanced beyond speculation. Draymond Jones and Jarran Reed are holding firm in the middle. Neither is flashy, but both are tough to move. Behind them, the rotation is forming around players who don't miss assignments. The line isn't built for chaos. It's built to hold position and let linebackers stay clean. Run fits have improved. The linebackers are getting clearer sightlines. It isn't perfect yet, but the base defense is functioning more smoothly than it did this time last year. Notably, Devin Witherspoon is locked in as the team's top corner. He's vocal, sharp, and showing better recovery technique on deep routes. Josh Jobe is running opposite him, but he hasn't claimed the job outright. Coaches are keeping the competition open. The safety pairing of Julian Love and Rayshon Jenkins is steady, but not spectacular. They communicate well and rarely break coverage rules. Kobe Bryant is working into nickel roles and might rotate based on matchups. However, a reliable man coverage corner is still missing. Seattle hasn't signed one yet. Analysts continue to mention potential free agents or trades, but there's been no movement since early June. Until that changes, the defense will rely on zone discipline, not isolation coverage. Kicker and punter roles are also set. A long snapper battle is ongoing, but minor. The true intrigue is in return duties. Sims has the edge, but undrafted rookies are testing him daily. If the team goes light at corner or tight end, a return specialist could sneak onto the roster. Importantly, coverage units look better than last season. The team concentrated on tackling fundamentals during OTAs, and it's showing up on tape. It's expected that field position won't be a weakness this year. Seattle isn't waiting on luck or headlines. Instead, they're working with what they believe in. Darnold is being given a system that suits him, and the defense is built around structure. While they still have one hole to plug in the secondary, the rest of this roster is showing signs of cohesion. Training camp will separate placeholders from producers. If you want that separation tracked in real time, subscribe. We'll be watching every rotation, adjustment, and depth chart moves closely.